Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. The slant.
Yeah, but isn't this the unplugged version? I don't know. I think it's the unplugged version. All right, Power, let's go.
Welcome, one and all, to the Latino Slant. You've got your backup host, and normally I'm an executive producer here, filling in for the great Paul Lee, who is on holiday. I'm not sure if he's listening in live or he'll be listening to this later, but today's an amazing day. One of my favorite artists is with us today. We're recording this on the YouTube. We'll have the re-upload up tonight as well for those that you're missing this live. Super excited to have the Consequentialist, the creator. He's an amazing musician. He's an amazing guy. I'm hoping that at the end of today's show, it'll give you an opportunity to take some time in the next coming week and get to know his music. He's got some shows coming up. He's been with us before. He's a great friend of the channel, and he's an Austin, Texas boy. And certainly my family originally hails from Texas, and got a lot of love for folks from Texas, got a lot of love for Austin. It's a great state, great people, great food, great entertainment, and this is certainly an amazingly great artist. So we're going to welcome Eduardo Fajardo to the stream. How are you, Eduardo?
What's up, Mike? How are you, my friend?
Brother, I am fantastic. I am so honored and pleased to be hosting you here on Latino Slant. When Paulie talked to me about the opportunity, I jumped at the chance and I said, "Hey, can I be executive producer that day? Can I go? Can I go? Can I run the backstage?" And he says, "Bro, you can do." He says, "You listen to the Consequentialist music so much, you can do the show." And I'm like,
That's
"Okay."
Killer, bro.
Hey, let me say hi to some people that are just showing up in the chat. We got all kinds of great folks here. Memes of Destruction. Hey, brother, how are you? My sister Stephanie Janacek from Smuggler's Cantina, the great Gogo 13. My brother Troy Pacelli is showed up and arrived. And, looks like the Stream Elements bot is running. Hail, my brother David. DB Martin out from California, IA. Hope things are going out there. There's a bit of a heat wave. How's the heat wave going, Eduardo, in Texas, where you're at?
Well, man, honestly, it's been raining so much here lately. Like the past week has been raining. It feels like Houston. It feels humid and sticky, but I wouldn't say it's too hot yet, right? August is when we really start to like do a string of 100 degrees. But right now it's mellow. You can see it's a little cloudy behind us. Just sticky right now, really.
God, it's such a great view of Austin. We were just talking before the show, and that's such a beautiful backdrop that you have there. Let's take a look, everybody. Take a look at the beautiful city of Austin. Look at that. Oh, my God, how amazing. And, you know, I had I was driving cross country, and I had a client who met me in Austin for a couple of days. So I ended up at the Hilton downtown for, I think, 4.5 days. I actually didn't want to leave. It was the only city that I stopped at across country while I was driving that I didn't want to leave, brother. You guys got some great food, it's just a great town, right? What are some of your favorite joints?
Man, my favorite joints are, I'm really a big fan of Suerte on the east side. It's craft Oaxacan food. It's really high-end stuff, craft cocktails, that sort of stuff. Big fan of Casino El Camino, which is just a really cool kind of gothic bar that plays B movies and has a really kick-ass jukebox on 6th Street. And taco food trucks, man. I mean, there's just so much stuff going on around here. As you say, like the food scene here is really, really taken off.
Yeah, it's eclectic and it's creative. And the one thing about Austin, it seems that there seems to be just an amazing cross appeal of so much food and culture. I mean, I just really felt very warm and welcome. It was a great experience being there. It really was.
And the river there, right? And all that good
stuff,
man.
You know, right? My client took me out to this joint where I had these amazing ribs right off the river. The ducks or the little quacks were coming up. And I'm like, wait, what are you doing? I thought they were going to eat little Mexican Ironman, but no, they're friendly and it was awesome.
Exactly, man. I love this town. I've been moving out like for like the past 10 or 15 years. I'd always stay here 5 years, then I'd move somewhere else. And then I'd always end up back here. And here I am.
No place is like home, is it? Isn't it?
It never is. It never is. You know, I really enjoy it here. I'm a Texas boy. I was raised in Dallas and Plano, actually, but between Columbia and Dallas. And then when I settled in Austin, I felt that like this was mine,
Awesome. Well, let me say hi to a few more people, and then we're going to get into the interview and start sharing your music. And I'm really excited about today. I want to say shout out to Big Steve. Huge welcome to Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs. Hail Go again. I think I got you earlier. And then let's see who else. Snow Dub and Entertainment is also in the house. Hey, Pete. Pete and Kat. Hello. Oh my God, it's Pete's 7th stream of the day. I'll tell you. The internet and YouTube is the future for, I believe, almost all entertainment. I don't think anybody's watching TV anymore. And I think my hope is that as things open up, Eduardo, that as things open up, my live venues is something that I know I've thirsted for, live music scene. Well, let's get started with your life story. What's your life story? How did you get into music? What was the first instrument you picked up? What's your journey into your life's mission?
Well, I tell you, I feel like my journey actually started in first grade. I was in the choir. Choir back then is just like everybody in the grade, right? So, one day I'm just sitting there and we're, singing something, and out of the blue, the teacher says, stops the entire class, and she says, "Everybody sit down." And then she goes, "Eduardo, stand up, sing it, show them how it's sung." And I was taken aback because never did I think that I was going to, solo or, I'm 7, 8 years old.
Wow.
And then so I sang the part, I nailed it, and I sat down, and, that was like, that was the training, I guess that was it, right? From then on, I went to all, city choir.
Well, how did she know you could sing? How did she?
Honestly, that's one of those questions, right? As an adult, I think you notice things, from people that you're not quite aware of when you're a child. So she picked me out, man. And, and I'm not, I guess she was right.
Well, here we are, right?
Yeah, here we are. So, and then I went to, UIL, I did all city choir. And honestly, after that, I dropped it until college, until well after college. It wasn't until I moved to Seattle that I.
And where'd you go to college, real quick, for the fans at home? Where'd you go to college?
I went mainly to Austin Community College, and I took a semester at the time it was called Southwest Texas State. I think it's called, I forget what it's called now, but it's the university over here in San Marcos, Texas, just south of here in Austin.
Cool.
And just kind of started piddling around. And the first thing I did was, the funny thing is, here, let me back up just a little bit. I was actually in a band in high school, right? I don't know if you've ever heard of a band called the Gourds, but, they had a really big hit, regionally. They did a hillbilly version of Gin and Juice. You know what I'm talking about? Snoop Dogg?
Yeah, wait, a hillbilly version?
Yeah, it's killer.
No.
If you go check out the Gourds, go Gourds, and they had a version called Gin and Juice of the song Gin and Juice, and man, that made them super popular with all the frats around here. And these guys are royalty. They're like Americana folk royalty in all of the Rockies and the Montana, all throughout the West Coast. These guys are super famous. And the bass player was named Jimmy Smith, and he was my first bass player in that band in high school. So, so I was somehow, I've always been, really fortunate with the people that I've been around or I've partaken in my projects or whose projects I've been a part of. And then, so I did that, and then I took a long, basically sabbatical, and just decided later on, that I was needed to write songs and to sing and stuff like that. And I created projects when I finally moved to Houston. Houston was where I really started doing, projects and things like that.
Okay. How many years ago was that?
Wow, man, that must have been about 10, 15 years ago. I can't even keep track at this point. It's been so long, but Houston's definitely where I cut my teeth for sure. First recording, ironically, was in Monterey Bay in California. I was just at a music store there, and they have a really cool vintage guitar store there. And everything there was 1932 Gibsons and vintage Strat. And then they had this
that big one.
Guitar.
I know which one you're talking about, because I used to live in San Jose and spend a lot of weekends in Monterey and Carmel. I know that's one you're talking about. They've got some pretty, or at least they had. I don't know about today, but they had some pretty expensive stuff on the wall.
Wow,
Is that the same one we're talking about?
Yes, and it was as big as a closet. It was
Yeah.
super small.
Yeah.
And then they had this one Takamine in there that was brand new. And I was like, I've been sitting there for a couple of years, aging in the dry Pacific air. And the next he says, man, I haven't been able to sell that. Nobody comes here looking for those type of guitars. So he sold it to me on a dime, for like $700. And I took it, and ever since then, man, I've just been writing songs.
That's great. And when you talk about, I want to get into the name of the group in a minute, but let's talk about a lot of the things that have motivated, inspired. Have there been like maybe one or two, couple of life experiences that sort of have really played a formulative, your music's really diverse. We'll show people in a minute, but what are one or two experiences that really formulated your writing and the kind of music that you choose to express?
Well, I'm all over the place sometimes when it comes to music, but I would say in particular with this last project with the Consequentialists, I mean, honestly, it was the lockdown. It was the pandemic that really gave it its direction. I'd gone into 512 Studios and I was recording like a stripped down Americana type project. And then all of a sudden, just everything that started happening, when we got shut down, kind of radicalized a lot of me, just really took my political views and honed them on it. I've been a libertarian for a while, but I'd never, it was almost a thought experiment. You didn't really need to, understand why these freedoms were so important until they started getting taken away. Right.
Right.
So that's when it started to really focus, and I wrote some material like Ran Your Mouth and Puzzle just kind of came out. I literally improvised those lyrics. Those are one take,
serious? Those are two of the three songs that I picked for today. Plus, I want to talk about Landslide too. But I was rereading. We're re-listening and writing down the lyrics myself, and I was wondering, God, I wonder how long it took him to come up with this. You're telling me you pumped those out on the first draft?
One take. The in particular with Ran Your Mouth, that is literally the vocal that I recorded into my telephone. This phone that I'm transmitting on right now, I do all my pre-production on my phone.
Okay.
It's literally the vocal. I was like, I can't change it. I did do post-production work at 512 Studios with Omar Vallejo, and I did re-record Puzzle's vocal track, but everything that was laid down as far as the vocals, the lyrics, one take. And that was straight from the hip. I was improvising. So,
wow.
It was just the emotion of the moment. I'd had a couple drinks, and as most writers like to have a little bit of alcohol, just kind of lubricates the lyrical content. And I spewed it out and I kept it.
That's fantastic. Yep. That's fantastic. So before, when was the name envisioned or the title of the band Consequentialists? When did that happen? Like, take us back a little bit.
That happened afterward, right?
Okay.
That happened after I realized that the band and that the things that we were singing was political by nature, and that the root of it was political, and it was libertarian, right? And honestly, I have been getting so much pushback from people here in Austin and online and stuff like that when we would try to, have the difficult conversations about things like lockdowns and, masks and, shutdowns and everything like that. It seemed like the people that were pushing the hardest to toe a party line, were Democrats or leftists, or liberals, however you want to call them. Honestly, they're leftists because they're definitely not classical liberals, as liberals defend your right to say anything you want to. They may disagree with you, but they defend that right. It seems to me like it really started getting pushed really hardcore to where it's it's authoritarianism, right? At this point, it's not even like leftism or democracy. It's like authoritarianism or non-authoritarian, and I'm on the non side, right, as a libertarian. So as a consequence, I decided to go full board on it. I wasn't going to hide it. I wasn't going to shrink from it because we're in desperate times right now. So I definitely want to make sure that our voice is heard and that there are people. I mean, Mike, I would have, when I be in these, you know how you get into your Facebook like threads and things like that. I I would have musicians that wouldn't partake in the thread that would DM me and say, hey man, just so you know, like I don't say things like this and I don't want you to publish this, but I support you. I can't believe they're doing this. I had at least, 10 different musicians who were incognito. They wouldn't dare say things like that in Austin. I mean, Austin is a highly liberal city, something that I really enjoy for the most part. I like socially liberal places to live in, but fiscally conservative, obviously, which is what Austin has been for a long time. That has changed.
Right. And if I could real quick, I want to, for the folks at home, I want to bring up I've been getting some direct messages here. People are like, what's a consequentialist? So let me walk through the definition. And of course, I'm going to pick the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy because, well, that's where I went to school. So consequentialism, as its name suggests, is simply the view that normative properties depend only on consequences. This historically important and still popular theory embodies the basic intuition that what is best or right is whatever makes the world the best in the future. I'm going to skip a little bit and go. The general approach can be applied at different levels to different normative properties. And then I'm going to skip up and where it talks about this is I think the main thrust of it is that consequentialism is about, when it gets to the moral rightness of acts, holds that whether an act is morally right or not depends only on the consequences of that act or something related to that act, such as the motive behind the act or general rule, requiring acts of the same kind. So really, there's really that what's happening, like, and I'm going to ask you to define this for yourself, but when I've followed your music and I went to, once I heard your music, I immediately went to trying different definitions. I think I found 4, 5, 6 of them, but we can't change the past. In fact, that's one of the tracks of your album. You can't change the past. We can only deal with with what we got. So when you thought of consequentialism, what stood out for you as a musician?
What stood out for me was the zeitgeist right now and how people have seemed to have continually brushed aside the consequences of, the New Deal, the Great Society, and basically the welfare state, right? So, the United States and the world itself has progressed to such a point, because of free markets. I mean, there's a place for regulation, to a certain extent. But in general, it's the businesses and business people and entrepreneurs are the people that add the greatest social value because they're the ones that create the positions that allow people to live their lives. I mean, think about where we were in the 1700s. We weren't doing this, this happened because somebody had the zeal and the intuition and the balls to break new ground, right?
Yeah, I mean, for well over a couple of decades, I was a weekend getting paid for DJ and creating music on my own, and I don't know what I would have done with electricity. I mean, we haven't even had electricity that long. We take for granted the fact that we have these phones and social media. We haven't even had electricity for that long, for God's sake.
Exactly. We've barely become environmentally aware. I think through the 60s was when things really started to take place. But honestly, it's only been in the last 20 years that most normal homes are getting recycling bins and things like that. So, we're catching up, things are getting there. And there's no reason to believe that the society or the world as we see it right now isn't going to continue to improve. In fact, if, statistically speaking, less than 1% of the world is actually poor, considered, abjectly poor, right? Abjectly poor. Whereas just 100 years ago, that number was well into the 95 percentile.
Yep. I was one of my degrees was in political science, and I'm a huge, I'm an avid reader of history, an avid reader of current statistics, and that absolutely is true. The world can become a better place and is a better place. And speaking of making things a better place, let's talk. I want to take people into one of the songs. So I thought what we do today is focus on Run Your Mouth, Puzzle, and Can't Change the Past. And let's start with Can't Change the Past. Is it okay if I play it for everyone?
Let's do it, brother.
All right, awesome. Here we go. Does the audio on?
Mm-hmm. I'm not hearing anything yet.
Oh, hold on. Let me go. Whoops, I forgot to turn the audio on. Hold on, let me do that one more time. Okay, hold on. Let's do this. Got to reshare it. Let me go back here. Open Google. I had it all ready to go, and I forgot to turn the sound part on.
No worries.
Let's see. Hopefully it goes this time. Let's see. See if it goes this time. Let's do a little test run here. Tell me if you hear anything right now.
Not hearing.
No?
No, sir.
All right. Let me do this. Sorry, everybody at the home. Let me open up in another browser here. Wonder why I can't hear that. That's odd. And I thought I was all ready to go.
All good, brother.
Well, while we're doing this, could you talk a little bit about some of the guys in the band? I'm going to need about 2 or 3 minutes to reload this thing here. So let's talk about some of the guys in the band. I had the opportunity to see you guys, obviously through the membership stream that we had, and it was really amazing. But can you walk us through some of the different guys in the band and how you met each other and what their current roles are?
Sure. So the first gentleman that I called to help me get this together was Jeff Botta. He's the drummer, right? And he actually has that studio there with actually one of the Gibbs nephews. Can you believe that?
Really?
Like, no joke. So he has a studio with him, and you know, I called him up. He'd helped me a long time ago. He played in some of my projects, some of my solo stuff. And I said, hey, Jeff Botta, let's help me get this together. So no joke, he called Naj. Naj Conklin is the bass player. He's he is a great bass player. He just got off tour with Carolyn Wonderland, who, you know, Carolyn got pulled up by Bob Dylan, you know, so she played with him for a hot second. And he went on tour with her. Now he's back, so he's gonna, you know, join us for the show. I've got Scott Clark, the guitarist, unbelievable guitarist, man. He's just like, he likes to do analog loops with his guitar. He's just saying he's making fun of people who play with loops. He plays it all on his own. I've got Jay Styles. Jay is a great keyboard player. Excuse me. He's actually a Canadian gentleman, really cool guy. Has a standing show at C-Boys, and C-Boys is one of those places that, you know, actually if you go into the Consequentialist Instagram, you'll notice that I have a show with Jimmy Vaughn. I have a couple songs recorded and posted there, and that is C-Boys right there. So that's one of the reasons why I'm super excited to play there. And yeah, that's the band, man. We're just kind of basically took it slowly, and instead of like getting all the music and doing 1 or 2 rehearsals, we've been doing this for about 3 months now.
Only 3 months. So basically what ended up happening then is you actually put together the music, then came up. Yeah. Okay, wait, hold on. So this is kind of unusual. So you picked up so you created the music, including the lyrics, the tracks, everything else. Then what you did is that you came up with the name of the group. Yep. And then you put the guys together, kind of.
See, yeah, okay. And the reason for that is, you know, as most projects go with a lot of music, you don't know where it's going to go, what it's about. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is preconceiving, right? Preconceived notions, or, you know, that tends to mess with the flow, the artistic flow. And, you know, so at least in my opinion. So what I did is I did in that order. Then I actually literally sent the track to KUTX. I just cold called them and said, hey, you know, there's the Consequentialists, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, we hope you like the track. And they did. They put it on. And I was amazed. And then so given that, you know, the track got pulled on, I was like, all right, there's something here, right? I mean, if the radio just out of the blue says, okay, let's put it on, I was like, okay, there's something here. So then I was like, let's get the band together and get a show together. And, you know, just last week, the song got picked up by KGSR, which is 97.1. And I was amazed. Once again, I got spun on a Sunday night, and I'm like, between you guys were actually the first, but between you guys, KUTX and KGSR, I was so happy that I was like, all right, man, let's just make sure we got the band, we got the shows, and let's give it a shot, right?
So let's talk about that a little bit. Am I echoing at all?
No.
No, we're good. Okay, good. because I almost have the audio set up. I had to actually load up another whole computer and run it through the audio feed. I feel like I'm doing the live show again. I was watching you guys put that thing together. But
Right
talk
on.
about the you talked about that being on the live radio show.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Well, I mean, the band itself was on like the track got played, right? Just I got a real spin. You know, I got a
Right.
couple spins on a. I mean, you know how it is, man. If you hear yourself on the radio, you're like, wow. So, you know, I mean, I got a little esoteric, and I was like, I mean, think about it. A radio wave travels at the speed of light, and now forever, for the rest of time, the Consequentialist is actually projecting out into the future. You know.
Wow.
So that's kind of, you know, a little legacy thing that you know, is just kind of a pin in my hat, I guess. I'm a little proud of that moment. You know, try to take the moment while you can, because you never know what's going to happen. For all I know, I'll never make it to the next show, right? I mean, who knows, right? Life is like that.
And how are things opening up in Austin? What's it like over there?
Everything's open. Everything's open. Mask mandates are out. You know, there's certain places that try to keep a mask mandate going, but you know, right now that's all good. You know, we're all floating. Everything's going, man. I mean, I'm sitting here. If you can notice behind me, I got people behind me, and nobody's wearing masks. You know,
Right.
and everything's like that right now. We're just ready. Live music venues are open again. Everything's good. We're good.
All right, let me do another sound check, see if this works.
All right.
Did you hear that?
I can't hear it.
Oh, hey, everybody in chat, give me a number 1 if you can hear the audio that I'm about to broadcast. Let's hear it. Give me a 1 in chat here. A 1 if you do, 0 if you don't. Let's see here. Let me do this. I think I need to pull us big fat 0.5. Can't believe I can't get the music going. I'm not quite sure what the problem is.
No worries.
God, well, we'll just have to focus on the lyrics of it then, and I'll tell people where to check it out. Look, I've got the Consequentialists, the full playlist. They're all favorited to me. Let's talk about the song "Can't Change the Past" and the lyrics related to that. Talk to us about that. Why did you put that song together, and how does it talk about consequentialism? And then, what does that song really mean to you?
Can't Change the Past started as you know, as an autobiographical, right? And as I started meandering through the lyrics, I realized that honestly, I was just talking about reparations. And how basically I was reading, I think I was reading Thomas Paine, if I'm not mistaken, Common Sense. I might be wrong about that, but I believe it's Thomas Paine, who basically said that, you know, that a person, no matter how virtuous they are, cannot take the blame for somebody else's act, right? So for example, you know, you can take, like, I could take your debt, Mike. Let's say you owed somebody $100. It's morally congruent if I decide to accept that debt, to take it and pay for it. But in something that is a little bit, you know, more morally strenuous, for example, murder, like, I could never take that place. You know, to do so would usurp the actual meaning of the word justice, right? So when people are talking about justice and talking about reparations, I ask you the question, who is going to pay these reparations? My family is going to pay these reparations. My family didn't land in America until the 70s, right?
Right.
And, you know, so, all right, who is it? White Americans in general? Well, honestly, less than 1% of all white Americans back in the day owned slaves. You're talking, these were, generally speaking, people with a lot of money who were able to do this, especially in the Southern economies, right? So,
Right.
you know, and how are you supposed to track this down? How are you supposed to calculate the wealth? How are you supposed to extract it? Honestly, the only way you can do that is by force, right? So doing so by levying a tax or something like that, which we all know that is just another form of violence. So I was, can't change the past is about accepting where we are, who we've been as a society, acknowledging our torrid past, and simply moving beyond it. When things get to a certain point, you just have to be able to accept it, forgive yourself, forgive others, and move
Yes.
forward. Especially right now. I mean,
God, I got to Eduardo, but I don't want you to. I don't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I want you to continue
go.
on, but I want to tell you, it is inspiring, heartwarming, and intellectually satisfying to hear an artist with your depth and breadth of experience and skill in the music industry speak like this. It is just so awesome. I got to tell you, it just means the world to me to hear someone with your background and your skill set just sharing that viewpoint. Continue on.
I'm not the only one, right? There's a lot of people. They're just really scared to speak out. I mean, cancel culture is real. Um, so you know, so part of the lyrics in "Can't Change the Past" address that particular thing in that particular subject. I mean, it's a little bit more amorphous, but in general, like when you know what it's about, you can start to understand that, hey, man, like we just need to accept where we are as long as we're not doing those things today. I mean, honestly, the good ideas won, right? The good ideas won.
Yeah.
Um, so accept the victory, and move forward because, I mean, honestly, racists exist always. Uh, it's just a form of tribalism, right? It's existed as long as time itself. And, I mean, how far are you going to go back with reparations? Let's say it's just the United States. Well, let's go back farther. I mean, exporting slaves from one country to another was a new phenomenon back then. Honestly, it was more of a local thing. Europeans were enslaving
Here's another thing. We
themselves.
don't. People want
Africans were
to.
enslaving. Yeah,
Absolutely, and we don't even have to go that far. It's not even a U.S. thing. I mean, I think it was just recently. It's 1938, 48, 1952, or something like that. Ethiopia, a few countries in Africa, it was still legal.
Right now, there are open slave markets in Libya. Right.
Yeah.
A nice consequence of our President Obama's Arab Spring.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I want to talk before we get to the next song, I wanted to talk about when you say cancel culture is real. Now, in your case, I find you to be not only an amazing artist, an amazing musician, but also an amazing patriot. Even though I know politics probably isn't your thrust, but in your case, you're not only speaking your mind, but your music is speaking. The lyrics are just powerful; they come right at you. And what I like about the music on your album is that it flows with, the lyrics flow with the tenor, ferocity, or tone, wherever you went with the actual music, the music that's being played, the lyrics fall with it. So now it makes sense to me how you basically just did them all at the same time. It all came out at the same time versus say a lot of times people they come up with a melody and then they got to find a songwriter, or sometimes people have nice little lyrics that they want to piece together and someone has to find music to put against that. But that's not what you did. I want to talk to you about about cancel culture, and you say it's real. How real is it in the music industry?
Man, absolutely real.
So wait, you're not the only one who feels the way you do?
No, man. Like I said, I have people DMing me during these, Facebook threads, and when we're trying to have open discussions about things, we try to cite statistics and data. But honestly, the left doesn't like data. They only like feelings. And they like, things like that. And hey, that has its place, but you have to be empirical so that you can, I mean. Comparing the United States to like Norway is not even relevant because, we are a huge society with every race, creed, and color living here,
Right.
So, making these sort of comparisons with miniature ethno-states like Norway, Sweden, it's stupid. It's literally dumb.
It's literally dumb.
It's literally dumb. I don't know how else to put it. Like I've bitten my tongue a lot, and I try to be real sensitive about things, about discussing things with people, calling them dumb. But the idea is at least ill-formed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, when I would make, this commentary, and people would DM me, hey man, I agree, but I can't say anything. That's my world. That's their fear of not getting projects, not getting dates thrown at them. Ironically, when I had that KUTX, that spin on KUTX,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
had I had one of my friends come at me saying, "Hey, I didn't want to, tell you this on an open line, but don't you find it ironic that you're a consequentialist and you're pushing a track that was, pushed on a community radio, something that had gotten tax subsidies?" And my question is, am I not supposed
What?
to exactly? Am I not supposed to avail myself of something that I've already paid? Like, it's not the state that decided to give that. Like, my tax dollars actually paid for
Yeah.
KUTX. So, like, all of a sudden, I'm not supposed to avail myself. What, am I not supposed to walk on the street because my opinion is that taxation is theft? Are you fucking kidding me? These things have already been talked about.
Preach, brother, preach. Yes.
So,
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Puzzle real quick. It's the first track on my, at least on my Spotify list. It's the first one that comes up, and boy, does it grab you like a boy! It puts you on a 900-mile-an-hour bullet train and say, "We're going, let's go." I love this jam. I listen to your stuff a lot of times when I need to inspire myself. And this song, boy, I'll tell you. Talk about the lyrics of Puzzle real quick.
Well, Puzzle is about the political machinery and how it decides to, create, consensus, right? So the reds, the blues, and the greens are basically Democrats, Republicans, and leftists, right? So how is it the political machinery takes its pieces and puts them together like a puzzle, right? The kings and queens are the owners of that political machinery, right? They don't care. They basically just decide, they split us apart, and then they capture our votes and try to create and find the middle, right? That's generally what's been really good about the United States, is that, with an electoral college system, you have to actually find the centrist vote, right?
Yes, you think.
And so that you have to. I mean, believe it or not, even in this last election with Biden, the centrist was found. There were a lot of people that really just disliked President Trump in general,
Yeah.
But a lot of people dislike Biden less. He's an ineffective presidential president. You don't really know who's running the show with him. But
yeah.
But that's what Puzzle was about.
Right. And what I loved about the song, well, let me ask you this, like, what were you feeling emotionally? I mean, I hate to take you back there, but, well, no, I want to take you there. When it came out, were you at home? You're just frustrated, the political stuff's going on, and you just, boom, it just came to you?
I was watching my wife put together a puzzle, right? So she was putting together a puzzle, literally, and I was like, there it is. That's what we're doing here. That's what elections are, a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
How does a person take this piece and put it together with this piece, create consensus, and ultimately a victorious candidate, right? You need these pieces. You need the kingmakers. You need the activists, and those are the revolutionaries and the stretch jeans that I was talking about, right?
Right.
So yeah, man, honestly, that's where it started. You just need a little impetus, God, there's a puzzle. Boom. There it is.
Right. And one of the things I want to say to people right now is, although we're talking a lot of political or life, lessons and influences, I'm going to tell you, when I heard the tracks, I don't think I noticed the lyrics the first time around, because the music swept me up so fast. I had to go back and listen a second time. I mean, I got the lyrics thematically, but I had to go back that second time. And then each time I re-listen to the tracks, the song gets more and more meaningful. So there's a lot of layers done. And along that lines, it's Courtney Fellowship of Oddballs, one of the people that's here today. She throws a question at me. She says, I'd love to know who Eduardo considers his musical influences.
Oh, right. So obviously Prince. Because he can do anything. He can do anything, right? I mean, I just love Prince. I mean, he is music embodied, right? So he gave me the liberty to do anything, to do rock, to do R&B, to do anything. And I was like, I'd never really done a politically charged punk band, if you will. And I was like, why not, right? Let's do it. The music's coming out that way. It feels that way. So it's not fake. I'm feeling this. There's nothing contrived about it. So let's go. The Clash,
The
um,
Clash, oh, a classic band.
Sex Pistols, of
Sex
course.
Pistols, wow.
Um, let's see. My early formation, I would say, was like Luther Vandross and Anita Baker.
Oh yeah, Luther Vandross, Anita Baker. You know
Yeah.
what? I like to. We don't have that kind of music at all anymore. I mean, actually, there's a lot of these genres that we just don't have anymore. But you take, Luther Vandross and Anita Baker, all that, man. That influenced my dating style big time. Still to this
Well,
day.
most people don't know that Luther Vandross is, kind of behind a lot of the hits. He was really good at taking songs, like especially with like Chic and things like that. And
Yep.
and helping them put that together. He'd be like, well, I like everything, but the third verse, that's the one. So drop everything else and start right there. So he's one of those people that got me to focus and say, all right, because you get so married to a song, you think everything's good,
Right.
but it's not most of the time. You really need to like step back and say what's really good about this. And
Clash,
so
Sex
that,
Pistols, Luther
yeah,
Vandross, Prince, Anita Baker. Anyone else on the influencer list? That's a pretty
dude,
diverse, amazing list.
Zeppelin, Beach Boys,
Beach
Beatles. I mean,
Boys.
come
You're not
on,
even old enough for
come on,
Beach Boys.
give me a break.
well, your music makes us all feel like spring chickens when I listen to it. I mean, I've shared it with a lot of people in my family, and they all they're fans as well. Let me ask you this question, going in a different direction. Why didn't you name the band after yourself? There's so many entertainers that would have gone with EF Studios or EF Band or the Eduardo or the Fajardo Boys or Fajardo. I mean, it seems to me that this. I'm just going to ask you this. I get the vibe that it's more about your music and the message, and less about you per se. Is that fair to say?
It is. Completely. Ironically enough, like I like taking part in collaborations a lot,
Uh-huh.
But this one was like so much me, that I was like, I wanted to mark some territory too, right? I wanted to make sure that people knew that there's music out there for people that aren't afraid to speak out against
Uh-huh.
what the norm is. I mean, can you believe it that these days people actually believe that they are rebellious when they're actually aligned with all the corporate interests with, I mean, like you think you're a rebel, but you're actually a corporatist,
Yeah.
I find it amazing. Like the irony does not escape me, but it certainly escapes them.
Oh, completely and totally. All right. So let's talk about Ran Your Mouth, which boy, oh boy, do I love that track. And I just thought, I said, wow, I can't, because there's the lyrics are so rich and so awesome. You could have named it, I think, anything but Ran Your Mouth, but you went ahead and threw that out there. And I love it. And so talk to me about Ran Your Mouth.
That's literally about social justice warriors, right? They think that, I mean, honestly, conservatives are pretty chill. They're pretty quiet. They'll let you say a lot, they'll let you talk a lot of crap. But in the end, I mean, try to find a bunch of conservatives on a street corner and talk the same smack, and you'll find out that they're not going to put up with it. So that's really what it was about. To put a finer point on it, for me, Ran Your Mouth was about the debate, the argument, right?
Right.
A lot of people talk things, but they don't have the facts to back them up. So that's what Ran Your Mouth was to me. I can see how like it can be taken as, a little bit more physically confrontational,
Right.
But, that's where it's at, honestly. That was about social justice warriors who just talk a bunch of smack, have no information, and preach it as gospel.
And you even mentioned the comment. I think there's a comment in there, a lyric in there about, their digital media or social media, their iPhones or something like that. Or so, it alludes to that kind of stuff. And what were you looking for there when you brought that out in the lyrics?
Well, they're just, all they do is they're sitting there talking on their phone, but they're not really true activists. A true activist is maybe doing what I do, right? Putting their money where their mouth is, putting a project together. And those guys or those people, all they're doing is LARPing on their iPhones or their computers, man. And it's gross, and it's weak.
It is. And I wanted to ask you a question about how how do I say this? I thought it was really interesting when we did the live show. I didn't expect to happen what happened, which is that it was actually hard to focus in on you, even though you were the one singing. You really took time to put the camera so that we could see the whole band. Yeah, and I thought that was really, really neat of you to see everybody in both shots, in both camera angles, and that told me a lot about you. Why did you do it that way?
Well, honestly, it was for ease of setup. At the point things had been kind of crashing around us. It wasn't a purposeful thing, but really, it's about the band in general. Like, I don't feel like it's honestly about me anymore. Like, so. Hey, Brother Mike, I gotta have to leave here in a few minutes, man. I'm sorry,
sure.
brother.
Oh, no problem. We're only going to go for 45 minutes. So before you leave,
Cool.
So let's go ahead and start talking about what you got coming. I just want to ask you with two questions. I want to talk. I was going to ask you about Landslide. We can do that another time. But let me ask you two things. Yeah. What have you got coming up in terms of dates in Austin? And hey, everybody in Texas, or if you're traveling in or out of Texas, it's the summertime. If you're going to be anywhere near Austin, I know you got some dates coming up. Let's talk about those real quick.
Cool. I got July 11th at 1 to 1 Bar.
Yep.
And that's down over here. It's coming Sunday, so it's our debut. I'd love for people to come out. It's a Sunday night, 9 p.m. And just have a new announcement. I got the 26th at Seaboys. That's a Monday, and that's a revered venue, and I'm really excited about both of those shows.
That's awesome. All right, everybody. We're going to go ahead and post that information down below when we post up this video later this afternoon and recut it. And it's going to go up. The live stream will be up. This entire interview will be up. And hey, Eduardo, I want to thank you for being here, brother. This is great. Thanks so much for taking your time. Hey, and listen, here at the Slant, we're huge fans. I'm a huge fan, and any opportunity we can to support your work, we're behind you 100%. And we'll announce dates on Twitter otherwise as you continue to open up. All right, brother. Love you so much. Thanks for being here.
Austin, love the Slant.
Awesome.
Peace.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, that was the great Eduardo Fajardo. So honored and so happy to have him with us. I got to tell you, everybody, sorry I didn't have the super chats and the stream elements going, the bots going, and all that stuff. If somehow you manage to send something in, we'll probably all have to do a makeup chat stream or a tip jar later. I told him to turn everything off because I wanted it to be just about sharing the interview with you. Wow, wasn't that amazing? I really do want to thank Amazing. I'm going to go over to the chat and take a look at some stuff in chat and comment with you guys on a few things as we wind things down. Gogo13 says that was awesome. Stephanie said, bye, Eduardo. Hey, sister, thanks so much. Let's see who else we got here. Let's see, anything else? Let's see. I have family who live in Laredo, Texas. Hey, Lombardi, 1969. Oh, Panda Power. Just saw you. I'm not sure how much of the show you caught. Hail Panda Power. Oh, it's so awesome to see so many of you that I've seen in so many places. I guess what I want to take out of this interview is, look, everybody, we've got to take action, whatever we do. I'll tell you for myself. By day, I'm an accountant. I run a tech. You know what? I'll turn the screen off. Let me turn the screen off here. Hold on. Let me. I'll even turn the camera off since it's Friends and Family Day here, right? Right, here we go. Here we go. Hey, everybody. How you doing? All right. Well, look. Hey, everybody's got to do something. In my daytime job, I'm a tax accounting guy. I mean, I'm here in the home office here doing tax returns. Oh, boy, my camera's not angled right. Oh, well. I just want to say that it's awesome to be with all of you guys. And, we've got to do something. We got to do something. You got to take action, whatever it is. Maybe you have a puppet show. Maybe it's called Cotton Connection, for example. Hail Snowdub. Go check out the Cotton Connection. Maybe it's something else. But if your daytime job doesn't allow you to make a difference, then make time to make a difference. Certainly for me, all my clients are small business owners. I wake up every day and go to sleep sometimes, in before and after streams, to try to do what I can to help America's small business. All my clients are small business owners. So my life's purpose is my mission in life, which is to help small business owners in this country survive. And as small business owners of every background, everybody, not just any one particular one. But so find your purpose and find your mission and find your opportunity. Find your opportunity in life. And so with that, we're going to close today off. I want to say thank you to everybody. As I fumble around back here, I'm going to look for the closing credits. I think I found them. And hey, like, share. If you haven't already, subscribe. And if you haven't had a chance to yet, think about it and become a member. The membership benefits are fantastic. And Paulie and the crew here are doing a great, great job. Well, thanks for coming, everybody.
Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. The slant.
Slant.
All right, Paul, let's go.